Hello, everyone. This is Chala Dinkoy, CEO and founder of The Repositioning Expert, coming to you live with a Tuesday tea time with Chala. A little bit earlier today because I've got lots and lots going on this week. And today, later on today. So, yesterday was my birthday. The weekend was my birthday celebration with my girlfriends. And yesterday was my little guy. He's 14 now. He had his birthday on Friday. So, we have like a whole birthday vibe going on, and it has been amazing. For the first time ever, Logan took me out, and he took me out with his dad's money, but still, he he took me out to the keg, and he bought me flowers, and he bought me a card, and he likes to say, and he wrote in the card, it's pouring rain and I went to the grocery store to buy you this, so I hope you know how much it means, I hope you know that it shows that I love you. So he had to write that in. So i'm thrilled I'm thrilled. It's the first year, it's the first time he's ever bought me anything, I'm gonna say, I think. But it's sweet victory. I had to wait 14 years after this, but anyway, so let me take a sip of my protein. I am, this week it was a big step back in my physique goals, but in my macro counting. But you've got to live, especially when you're 54. You've got to live because I don't have that much time left. Just another maybe half a decade left. So let me take a sip, and then I'll tell you what this week's topic is all about. Okay. All right. Okay. So how to use your about page as a positioning tool. Now, the about page is often neglected, or it's genericized. Like, it's so, like, they don't even most of the time talk about the founder or about the fact that, like, who built this, how they built this. It's usually very, very soft soap, generic. We do this, we do that, but it's never about a personal story. It's never about anything that relates back to the founder, the reason for the founder, or anything like that. Now, and that being the second most visited portion of a site after the landing homepage, I wanted you to reconsider your about page. And my clients who work with me know that this is one of the key things where I want them to put themselves forward. I want them to be visible, and I want them to be visible in word and in picture, as many places as they can in their business. And I don't care how many $1 million of a business it is. I mean, unless you're not Pepsi and you're not the CEO of Pepsi, you need to be, as a CEO, featured somewhere. And where better than the about page of your website, okay, of your company. So I wanted to tell you the story of, to illustrate what I mean by using the about page as a positioning tool is an ice cream brand called Rethink Ice Cream. The owner used to be a drug addict. And when he was trying to go off drugs, he was eating, gallons and gallons of ice cream to stop craving actual drugs and alcohol. And during his sobriety, he gained a ton of weight. So he created an ice cream where he replaced the sugar. So this is a healthy alternative of an ice cream. So it was born out of his addiction. And so he talks about that, right? He talks about that in his about page, and he talks about the reason why he came up with the Rethink Ice Cream. So this, mental health and the health challenge story really appealed to, for example, the education industry, which he is now featured in. He is in 30 colleges in California and talks on campuses about recovery and entrepreneurship. So all of that to say that his about page is actually positioning him as a mental health advocate through not just his product, but his story. And then he is, regarded as a thought leader in that field or in that space, and that now sells in colleges because he's affiliated, and his core target are educational industries. So I just thought that was such a great story. And then as a story number two, I wanted to tell my story. So mine is, of course, that for 18 years I worked for giant corporations like Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito-Lay, and I got tired of the multitude of pitches from all these different vendors who went nowhere, and they were pitching so badly that I started a company to help teach vendors how to pitch to large corporations to land large contracts. And so, that's my story, and that's what's in my about, and that's what in all of my marketing. So my positioning is that because I spent 18 years listening to horrible pitches, I'm now a pitch coach, and I help small businesses pitch to large corporations, like when I was in a large corporation. So I want to teach you on this Tuesday Tea Time Live how to pick your own positioning based on your about page and how you can feature that in your about page. So the first step, and this is the exact actual steps, and I talk about this endlessly. It is like free for you to know how to do. You'd have to probably hire me to help you do it, but this is a free process. It's like a no-brainer. It's very simple. Children can do it. You can do it. So here's how you start. The first step is, we call this the blue sky. Like, you write down every industry, every interest group, every group, every consumer or B2B group that self-gathers that you can actually help. So write them all down that you've worked with in the past, that you've wanted to work with in the past, that your friends work with, that you've always wanted to work in. Just write down every single industry and interest group. And then next, write down every problem that they have that you can actually solve for them. Okay. And then rate it. Rate on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, the best fit, and 1 being the least fit, for 3 criteria. 1 is fit for you, your skill set, your background, your history, your education, your culture, your preference, you as a person, your personality. Rate that combination of the problem, the pain that you solve in that industry or interest group, for fit for your background. Number 2 is ability to pay you the amount of money you want. And number 3 is access to their decision makers. So remember, those are the 3 criteria that you need to evaluate each and every single cell of this whole huge list of that brain dump that you did in looking at the entire market of who's out there, who's self-gathering in a group by themselves, and what problem they have. Then once you have the scores, you pick out the highest 3 industries and the highest 3 pain points in those industries, and you go out and you interview actual human beings who are check signers in those industries and ask them, are these, in fact, is this the biggest problem? Is this really costing you that much? Would you hire me for that much money? And where do you congregate so I can meet more of you? Okay. So remember, this is a process that you're going through to identify the positioning so that we can then implement it within your about page. Okay. Now, once you've interviewed the decision makers in the industries to validate what the pain is, and whether that's the right fit for you in terms of whether they can pay you and whether you have enough access to enough decision makers, I need you to bake the pain that you found that they have into your own Phoenix Rising story, which you will then display in your about page. You'll talk about it in your presentations like I do. You'll talk about it in, any kind of white papers, any kind of live streams, any kind of podcasts. It's always going to be the story that got you to do what you do, to specialize in this one pain in this one industry. Now, I'll give you an example of how I did that. So bake in a personal aspect of this Phoenix Rising story, which means you were down and out, but now you've, built up and you're successful. So it's like you were in that kind of pain, same kind of pain that you solved for someone else. And now you have overcome that and now are teaching others how to do that. So my Phoenix Rising story that bakes into the pain is that when I first left corporate, first of all, not only did I know what not to do because I got pitched to death for 18 years, but I also, when I left corporate, was pitching myself as my own company owner, and I got nowhere, and I got broke because I was doing all the wrong things. And so my Phoenix Rising story is that now I teach how to pitch with a super niched positioning and a message. So that's my Phoenix Rising story. I've built it into the pain. I've built it in for whoever's, my audience, and my audience are diverse businesses. So they're constantly pitching to corporations in these large procurement conferences. Oh, I went a whole 10 minutes without coughing. I'm going to need a drink. I guess I'm still getting over this darn cough. So my positioning has been that I prevent bad pitches. So that's what I need you to do. I need you to then build that into your about page, into all of your communication as your positioning. And the reason why it's become your positioning is hooked in through the story that relates to either yourself or someone very close to you, that you saw this happening, that you witnessed it, that it was a horrible. So you describe the pain, and then you describe what you did to get out of the pain and into the future perfect, which is the pleasure. Okay. I hope that makes sense to you guys. I hope you don't have a generic page, about page. I want you to go and look at your about page. It's not just about it's not a CV, it's not a resume. It is a positioning tool. It is a storytelling tool. So use it. Use it wisely. I'm not saying don't put your credentials there. I definitely have my credentials there, but it also has a story. So before I cough anymore, I'm going to go back to some more celebrating. I'm celebrating again tonight. I have another girlfriend taking me out tonight. So lots of macros, guys, lots of calories, but remember to use your about page as a positioning tool, and join me next week when I talk about probably the economy. All right. Have fun, everyone.